Hi everyone, this is Aria. Welcome back. I am showing you this part of the scene in the story because once you get to these three horses, you are very close to unlocking the entire merch store. There's still a little bit more of the story that you have to unlock, but at this point, I am always at 3x speed, and if there's any chance of skipping the story, I am skipping the story just so I can move forward. But I just kind of want to give you a heads up. If you can, you want to start clicking on anything with those little bubbles and circles to start collecting your in-game rewards. Because you are at this point trying to collect as many bound jade as possible. A bound jade is that little jade with that little link on it. Those are in-game currency you get for free. You don't have to pay money for those. Although money can buy you more bound jade, but it's not required. But at this point, you want to start collecting as much as you can.
不知这匹马如何？骑上试试。
Alright, at this point I got my first horse and that has unlocked a lot of items here. But I do want to also let you know you can click on the left shift key or the swift key to actually speed up your horse riding. And there's also a really cool icon where you can lead your horse and walk it. I actually see a lot of people choosing this and just slowly walking down the street. It is so cool. And also at this point, I want to show you all the cool skills that you have. As you can tell, I haven't unlocked most of it. But this is all the skills that any class of characters can have. You don't have to be a sylph in order to get it. You can be an ironclad and you can have these skills. You can be a Lumina and you can have these skills. Oh, and speaking of Lumina, there is a male version of Lumina. I met the male version of Lumina on Discord, so I know for a fact there is a male version. And also there's a really cool option to have dual riding. So if you have a friend in the game and you want to ride together, you can click on that dual action and it is again free. You don't have to pay for it or work for it. They just automatically give it to you. And so speaking of unlocking the wardrobes, take a look at this whole section. I'm going to go through all the options that you see here. And this is just in the demo version. I'm pretty sure in the actual launch there might even be more outfits. But if you look at the bottom, it goes by outfit, accessories, weapon, mount, martial arts, merchandise, and custom. So this is going to be a nice extensive list, and I'll let you enjoy and watch. Hi, just a little disclaimer here. The Spirit Fox, the Bracers, and the Silk is exclusive to the Sylph class only. If you are a Ironclad, if you are a Lumina, if you're a different class, it will be a different set of weapons for that section on the very top. But everything else is fair game. Anybody can have access to either buy the weapon with cash, either to buy the weapon with bound jade, or to buy the weapon with by unlocking a special quest. So this whole section, just take a look at the icon. If it's an ornate jade icon, that means that's cash only. If it's a bound jade, which means there's a little link on that little jade, that's a bound jade item. And then if it doesn't have any of those things, like that wooden pony right there doesn't have one, that means you can earn it by completing a quest or completing some type of story or something that you can actually earn it. So there's lots of cool items in here. Don't feel like everything is cash only. There's plenty of items in this section that you can just get for free just by grinding the game. Alright, so the Wind Chaser section is actually one of my favorite sections. These are the tools that you can use to help take you from place to place on the map. Now, unfortunately, if you take a look at the icon that says Celestial Treasury, that means you can't just use Ornate Jade to get it. You can't use Bound Jade to get it. The only way to get it is through those special stones, which is a gacha stone. And that means that's going to be really expensive to get, because in order to get a gotcha stone, you will actually have to use a actual ornate jade to buy. So those things are not cheap. They're kind of expensive. They're in the hundreds of dollars, and each one will be a little different in price. But if you see anything with celestial treasury, just be careful. That will not be free. Now, I wanted to give you a heads up of how you can change the way you ride. Because right now, as a lady, you can ride side saddle style, or if you come over here to this section under looks, there is a little option right there for you to change the way you ride from graceful lady to martial world riding style. Okay? And I actually prefer this riding style just because that's more how I would ride if I was riding a horse. Okay? And that's a free option to change. You don't have to pay for that. And it also, depending on the kind of mount you have, like for a donkey, there is no other options. You have to sit in that style. Same with this fox. There are certain mounts where there's only one style to it. But of course, I cannot confirm that in the actual launch. Maybe that will change. It's just my experience with just, choosing these options. Like, see, if I'm back on the horse, I'm back to the regular riding style. So, of course, anything can change upon launch, but just right now, based on what I see and based on what I see in the Taiwan version of the game, this is how you sit and ride on different mounts. So take a look. Alright, we are reaching the end of this video. I am going over the 7-minute mark. I do have more content, but I'm going to put that in another video. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. Please subscribe and like if you like this video, and I'll see you in the next one.